Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Ben, the Juggernaut Rogers. This is Juggernaut MMA. Today we are going to be looking at the UFC Lightweight Division. Now, the UFC Lightweight Division is absolutely stacked right now. Of course, we are coming off UFC 329, which featured a couple of big moments for the lightweight division. Of course, in the main event, you had Max Holloway being victorious against the notorious Conor McGregor. And in the co-main event, you had Paddy Pimblett versus BSD, both lightweights, where Paddy Pimblett was victorious with a submission in under 1 minute. Truly sensational stuff. So I thought, let's have a look at the entire division, or at least the top 15 or so guys, and see what matchmaking could look like for the rest of the year and going into 2027. Let's be honest, guys, it could be a generational run for lightweight. First up, we have August. Next month, we have something announced. Only one thing, sadly, really. Mateusz Gamrot headlines a UFC Vegas fight night against Quillan Salkeld in the Apex, August 8th. Now, this fight is going to be a banger, in my opinion. Quillan Salkeld, one of the fastest rising prospects in the lightweight division, and honestly, in the entirety of the UFC, versus Mateusz Gamrot, a tried and tested opponent, coming off a defeat to Charles Oliveira. Gamrot ranked number 8 versus Salkeld number 12. Salkeld obviously called for this after his last victory earlier this year. Honestly, I think this fight is going to be a banger. But let's go into September now. We have UFC 331, Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan for the BMF title. Charles Oliveira defending his title against lightweight's number 2 contender, most likely in the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California. This fight is looking like it's going to happen. Arman Tsarukyan has said he's going to be signing his next fight in the coming days, and it's looking like this is going to be what it's going to be. Now, this is, of course, a rematch. These guys faced each other at UFC 300 not too long ago, and it was quite controversial. Some people had Charles Oliveira winning, other people had Arman Tsarukyan winning. So this is a rematch over 5 rounds for the BMF title, and this will have major implications going into next year. Also in September, we have UFC Fight Night Paris. This is starting to be announced. Sadly, it is not a pay-per-view featuring Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane. It is still a fight night, ladies and gentlemen. But who could headline this fight night? None other than Benoit Saint Denis. Now, Benoit Saint Denis is, of course, coming from a loss to Paddy Pimblett. However, that loss was only 1 minute of fight time. He didn't really get hurt. He just got choked out. So I reckon he's going to want to turn around quickly and prove himself and get back into that winning column. Like I say, he suffered no damage. He's going to want to get back straight in there. And we have him versus Tom Nolan, who is looking to get into the top 10. Now, this fight would either be the main event or the co-main event, depending on Nassourdine Imavov. If he's going to get the next title shot, he's not going to be main eventing, which means BSD would be the main event. Going into October now, we have UFC Fight Night Brazil, featuring none other than Renato Moicano versus Mauricio Rufi. This fight would be an absolute classic. You have a veteran in Renato Moicano, tried and tested, tribulated title contender with a BJJ base, versus Mauricio Rufi, a upcoming lightweight prospect, predominantly a striker coming off a sensational victory at none other than the White House earlier this year. This fight would be a classic striker versus grappling bout. It'd be the main event over 5 rounds. Next, we go into November now, and this is going to be back at the UFC Meta Apex in Las Vegas for a fight night main event featuring Diego Lopez versus Dan Hooker in the headline event. Dan Hooker returns from his defeat to Arman Tsarukyan last November, 1 year onwards, healed up, toned better, getting ready to welcome Diego Lopez to the lightweight division. Diego Lopez suffering some losses to Volkanovski, feeling like he can't get another shot at the featherweight title. He is moving up. He is, of course, rumored to be moving up, which is where I've got this from. And Diego Lopez headlines against Dan Hooker, and this would be a striker versus striker bout. They're both tall, they're both rangy. It'd be a fun watch, let's be real. And honestly, if Diego Lopez were to win this, he would definitely be put into that top 5 conversation and be looking at a title shot because the UFC seem to love this guy. Now we are going to skip over December and we're going to go straight into January 2027. UFC 336 in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. Our first major pay-per-view that we're going to go over. That isn't rumored. This is purely just my matchmaking. But first, this video is sponsored. I cannot believe it. This video, I finally got a sponsor, and it's me. This video is sponsored by me. Guys, I am making my MMA debut on Saturday, July 25th versus John O'House. Both of us have had a number of boxing bouts. This is both of our debuts in MMA. Outcast Boxing 009 Madness in Manchester. Tickets are on sale now, so if you want to come down and support me, tickets are on sale at Ticket Taylor, Reddish Working Men's Club, or you can watch live on the Outcast Boxing YouTube channel. It's my birthday. We're looking to make an absolute statement with my MMA debut before we move into the actual amateur scene later on. But now, let's get back to the video. UFC 336 in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. A pay-per-view card. Justin Gaethje returns from his victory at the White House against the winner of Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan 2. This would be a sort of title unification fight. You have Justin Gaethje, the undisputed lightweight champion, versus either of these guys as the current BMF champion. And honestly, guys, after this fight, the BMF title is leaving. It's had its time. It needs to go, blood. It needs to go. Like I said, it's unification. And we also have a co-main event for this card. Max Holloway returns from his victory against Conor McGregor versus the victor of Renato Moicano versus Mauricio Hufi. Either outcome, this would be a generational fight. Let's go over Hufi first. Max Holloway versus Hufi, striker versus striker in the lightweight division. Max Holloway, more of a veteran. He's been around for a very long time. He's held a title and he's moved up to lightweight where he got his BMF title, lost it to Charles Oliveira. He's tried, he's tested. He's a GOAT of featherweight. He's a GOAT of MMA. And he would be facing Mauricio Hufi, who is coming off a victory over Renato Moicano. This would be a striker versus striker matchup. They're both tall, they're both rangy, they're both great at striking. It'd be a generational fight. It'd be entertaining. Get your popcorn ready because it'd be a banger. On the other hand, if Renato Moicano were to beat Mauricio Hufi, he'd be facing Max Holloway, and that would be, again, another classic striker versus grappler. And like I said before, Renato Moicano is also a veteran. He's tried and tested. He's fought for the title before. So the skill is there. So there we have it, UFC 336, the best card I could make. Look at this on your screens right now, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me this isn't great. Tell me I haven't cooked. This would be generational. An absolute dream of a card. Now, still in January, we move on to the next event. UFC Fight Night Vegas. We're back in the Apex once again. The winner of Quillen Salkeld versus Mateus Gamrot versus the winner of BSD versus Tom Nolan. Now, as you can see, guys, I do have Quillen Salkeld beating Gamrot, and I would have BSD beating Tom Nolan. So this is what I believe the headliner would be. And this would be a great fight in the top 10 of the division. You would have both guys coming off wins. Quillen Salkeld, obviously the hotter prospect, and BSD obviously trying to fight back from an earlier loss, looking to get into the top 5 of the lightweight division. And next we move into February, where we have UFC Georgia. But notice I don't have it labeled as a fight night or a pay-per-view. And that's because we have Peter Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili happening sometime this year, most likely. Now, this is the trilogy fight. Each fighter has one win over the other, and we have some options. If Merab Dvalishvili were to win this fight and regain his title, We'll be doing UFC 337 in Georgia, ladies and gentlemen, headlined by Merab Dvalishvili defending his bantamweight title. I don't have anyone for him here, but I think it likely could be an Umar again or a Sean trilogy, because really there's no one making their mark right now, but obviously things could change between now and February. It's a very long time in a fast-moving sport. But in the co-main event, you would have Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett in a 5-round co-main event. Now, guys, let me talk about this fight. This fight has been in the works for years now. These guys have been clashing for years. You have the Spaniard, the Georgian, Ilia Topuria, coming back from his loss against Justin Gaethje, facing Paddy Pimblett, the Scouser, coming off a sensational victory over BSD. Both of these guys can strike. Both of these guys can grapple, and they have beef with each other. It would be a generational fight, pure entertainment. Paddy Pimblett honestly looks better against Justin Gaethje than Ilia Topuria did. And that, I believe, would be the marketing tactic from Paddy Pimblett. He's trying to cement himself in that #1 spot and get a rematch against Gaethje. Ilia, however, is trying to do the same, get a rematch against Gaethje to get his title back. Paddy Pimblett obviously never held the title, but this would be a true #1 contenders match and an actual banger. And trust me, I know bangers. However, if Peter Yan were to win and beat Merab Dvalishvili in the trilogy, the Georgia event would be a fight night headlined by Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett, with Merab Dvalishvili in the co-main event. And guys, that's it for my video. That is how I would matchmake the UFC Lightweight Division going into 2027. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed the video, drop a like and don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss an upload. And of course, please come down to support me in my fight July 25th or watch live on the Outcast Boxing YouTube channel. Your guys' support would mean the absolute world to me. But for now, you can check out my video on the UFC Heavyweight Division. And I'll see you in the next video.